And with all of the wet weather that we've had in Sydney over the last couple of weeks, this ground here at Parramatta Stadium really is in excellent condition. There's been a President's Cup game played on it this afternoon, and it hasn't been marked at all. It's a credit to the ground staff, Wally Lewis, the way they've turned this ground out.
They've looked after it wonderfully well. You've got to pay credit to them. And I think that this field will need to be at mint condition for the Maggies this afternoon. They have to certainly keep their feet and look after themselves very well.
Is the west side as programmed. You will notice, though, there's one number change. Steve Georgalis, their captain, ripped his jersey, his number 9 jersey, in the dressing room. How remains to be seen, but he'll be wearing number 18.
And he's a pretty good player as well. Maybe a bit of the old tossing around in the dressing room. The old West days are back. But an important part of that will be Leo Dinova, the guy that started his career in Queensland. The stint with the Broncos, came down and went via Newcastle, had a wonderful season, started off, but of course the Johns tradition really made it a little bit difficult for him.
And became a dad during the week, so congratulations to Leo. He'll be out for a big game here this afternoon. He certainly had his troubles during this year. He wants to finish the season on a high note and wants to remain with the Western Suburbs Magpies into the future. The big fella Darren Fritz was coming over to West's mid-season from North Sydney.
He's going to have to shoulder a lot of the responsibility too for the Magpies this afternoon. They just haven't been able to assert enough authority up the middle of the ruck. Here's Willie's teammate Chris Yates.
The Parramatta side led out by their co-captains Dean Pay and Jared McRae.
Not a bad bloke to have skippering the side, is it?
And only one change to the Parramatta lineup, where we see that Shane Werrett on the wing is out, replaced by Andrew Frew, who'll be wearing 21.
It's been a team that really have surprised, I think, a lot of the rugby league public. But here's a guy that has come back into the lineup. I believe there may have been a little bit of a problem in the Eels camp at some time, because without him in the team, they just didn't look like they had enough spark in their attack. Their kicking game on occasions really did look very poor. Johnny Simon will come in. Perhaps the stint in the lower grades will make him a little bit more determined to guarantee his spot in first grade. Matty Hewitt with an important job this afternoon as referee of the match. Wondering whether the earpiece is going to short circuit on him. A little bit of rain out there this afternoon, but it'll be a pretty important tussle, this one, I think, for the Eels' chances in the big games.
The rain starting to fall again here at Parramatta Stadium. John Simon to take the kickoff for Parramatta, and of course also in the Parramatta lineup today is Aaron Raper, back after a long stint on the sideline with that broken collarbone. So the start taken by Parramatta, and Wests to bring it out from their own line, with Chris Yates getting the first touch. Leo Dinova able to send it wide through McGuinness, and immediately they move it wide through Travis Baker. So they've perhaps shown their hand early on, Wests. They're going to start throwing the ball around, play dry weather football and try and run Parramatta around. Well, let's take his sideline, Peter Mulholland. He survived last night out at Belmore. We thought he had been washed away, but he's recovered. His big heart's got him through. Peter, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, it's a little bit better than Belmore was last night, but the rain, as you said, is really starting to bucket down at the moment. I think Parramatta today have got a lot to play for, as Wally intimated in his opener, in his preview, that they could end up on first spot after a couple of results went their way today. Western Suburbs, on the other hand, are trying to get rid of the dreaded wooden spoon, and I think it's all in all a great afternoon for a great match.
So this first scrum will pack down. It'll be Parramatta having the loose head and feed to the scrum.
Well, it was a pretty good first 5 tackles. Spoiled a little bit by the last one. Morton's clearing kick just went astray, the ball sliding through. He made quite a sensible decision to try and kick it off the floor. He had to try to pick it up. May have been a little bit difficult to get the clearing kick away. Sad news coming just a minute into the game. An injury isn't what the Maggies wanted at that stage of the game. Siri Lang taking the field. The giant forward, who when he runs with the football is very, very hard to drag to the ground.
So as the rain tumbles down, John Simon will work this scrum for Parramatta and one by the Eels. Immediately trying to split Western Suburbs out wide. Can't do so. Smith immediately working it just down very short blind side. Aaron Raper going into to be the dummy half. Aaron Raper looks as though he will be leaving Parramatta at the end of this year and going to link up with his brother Stuart, who coaches Castleford in England. Loose pass. Advantage goes Western Suburbs' way, and Damien Kennedy comes away with it. Runs it inside Parramatta territory by 15 metres. Georgialis quickly into dummy half and through Dinover and then away to Coxon. Good tackle on him though by Jared McCracken. Back to Asiri Lang. That's the 30-metre mark in screen, the Parramatta 30. Dinover calling for it as first receiver, giving his pass back to Darren Fritz. Kicking earlier in the tackle count, Steve Georgialis rolling it down into the in goal, and Carriage just taking his time about it. Make sure that the ball went dead. Didn't have all that much time to work with. You would think he's probably just got a call from his teammates behind him, Laurie Daly, to just know how much time he had.
Yeah, exactly right, John. Hasn't been a bad start to the game by Western Suburbs. Although just giving away a penalty there, that's something that Tommy wouldn't be looking for. But Parramatta, the first set of 6, Aaron Raper. I suppose he's been out of the side a while. He threw an ordinary pass, but they've got a penalty on halfway and they'll go into the attack here.
A little bit of a disappointing beginning after the tap restart as well. I'm used to seeing big Mark Turkey slamming his way onto the ball and really split the Magpies defence. Came up with about a 15-yard gain.
So Parramatta are 25 metres out. Simon giving it away to that man that Wally just mentioned, Mark Tukey, who simply steamrolls his way to 15 metres out from the line. Switch back inside by Jim Dimmick, able to pick up Jared McCracken. Simon running it, showing it, going to the line, and then got it away to Jim Dimmick, and Dimmick's able to get his way over and score. And the advantage already of having John Simon back in. He put the Western Suburbs defence into 2 minds, took it to the line. West's laid off him. Jim Dimmick certainly just backed up on his hip, took a short pass and was over.
Yeah, dictated terms to the opposition. He picked out his run pretty well. I think he ran between the props. Fritz and Yates decided they were the target men, ran to them. Wharton was going to find it pretty difficult to make a decision who to take from here.
Yeah, exactly right. Johnny Simon going to the line, holds a pass up there for Jim Dimmick, and he's just too strong.
It's great here when they've got support on either side too. Jimmy Dimmick read it well on the inside, and he still had Dean Pay on the outside if the half break was made, but that is absolutely poor defence.
Yeah, very ordinary, but it's come through a kick that was probably weighted half a metre too firmly. The restart was something that really busted the Magpies open. I think they had a fair bit of confidence on board until that very poor effort on Mark Turkey. Just 4 tackles later, via a penalty, they get to post the first try of the match.
Goal kicking conditions on a day like this are difficult, but this is probably as easy as they will come today for Clinton Zhivkovsky. Pretty much in front to convert the Jim Dimmick try. No mistake about it. And the Eels are away to lead by 6 points to 0 over Wests after only 5 minutes.
Well, shooting the ball out to the left, we can get used to seeing that. He really is a guy that runs quite sensibly, Simon. He targets the players that he wants to run at, and he insists that his support players are always there. If any of the players come out of the defensive line, he simply drops the ball into the hole and provides them with a golden opportunity.
Well, Wests, who've got the worst defensive record in the league, in fact, they're averaging through the season just over 32 points per game, which is the worst of any club since Canberra's initial year back in the league in 1982. And the defence would be the area that Tom Raudonikis has worked on, but it's let him down early in the game with the prop forwards falling off John Simon as he took it to the line for the first try by Parramatta.
Yeah, I think that'll be a tactic that Parramatta will use all day. Smith standing on the left-hand side of the field.
I think it's going to be a case of Brian Smith will just be honing his game plan as we near the NRL semi-finals. He'll be expecting his players to go out there and stay fairly disciplined and just play the same sort of game plan as he wants them to display come semi-final time.
Well, Wests have the unenviable statistic this year of not having won one away game.
Yeah, it's not a real good record, is it, when you can't win away from home? But yeah, I think they could be in some trouble here.
This is the Siri Lang, still just outside his own 20. Georgalis says we'll just take a settler down the short side to be played back by Chris Yates. Darren Fritz, battle of the big men as he bumps into Mark Tukey. How'd you like to have the food bill for those two for a week? Darren Fritz and Mark Tukey. The big fella's in good form, Mark Tukey, as he shows coming up with that ball. Now to Stuart Kelly. The ball loose, popping out of the hands of Kelly. And so West's able to come back up with it through Steve Georgalis.
Yeah, I think today's passes, especially if you're running to the line, you're putting someone under pressure with the ball being a little bit slippery. I think it's not the play. I think you want to give the ball early.
I think they've got to be popped into the gap too rather than bulleted at the target area.
Kevin McGuinness on the short side. Gets almost up to the 40-metre mark of Parramatta. Now back to Chris Yates. Now to the wide open side, and Georgalis able to give his pass away to Ken McGuinness, kicking ahead for Clinton Tchaikovsky. Parramatta fullback did well to get across and cover it, slipped, got back to his feet, then was able to go a second time before being run down from behind by Jared Mills.
Well, did very well on the kick, the initial chaser, but unfortunately there was just one of them, and that really displays the lack of discipline from the West defence. They should have a line of 4 or 5 players there trying to make it pretty tough for any return of the football.
Jason Smith hit in a tackle that was brought some boos from the crowd. It was a little high on Jason Smith, and he's feeling the effects of that as this ball attempted to be intercepted by Leo Dinova. Knocked on. Let's have a look at that tackle again on Smith. A bit like the Rodeo, the old bulldog into the ground style.
Just going back to that kick return from Tchaikovsky, he's improved out of sight this year. I didn't see much of him last year, but every game I've seen Parramatta play this year, he's been one of their standouts.
And Smith still feeling the effects of the Rodeo. Again, quite hard. They've landed on the top of his head. Probably not the best bloke to land on top of you either, Darren Fritz, carrying around about 115, 120 kgs.
I don't think it was so much, Wally, that the tackle was high. It was more the way he was ridden into the ground by Darren Fritz, and as you said, not the sort of thing you'd like to happen at the best of times. So Jason Smith comes to the sideline. So early in this game, with only 9 minutes gone, and both sides have had one of their starting players forced to leave the field. Lincoln Rodonicus from Wests, and now Jason Smith from the Magpies. From the Eels, rather. Paul Carriage just near halfway. Nathan Hindmarsh, a youngster with terrific talent, only 18 years of age. So right on the advantage line, Dean Pay gets it 38 metres out from the West's line. Work by Simon to bring Tukey, who was standing out wide, just coming back in on an angle. His legs chopped from underneath him by Scott Coxon. Kicked ahead by Aaron Raper. Diving across forward is Brett Wharton, the West's fullback, and just saves the day. That player flashing through after it was Andrew Frew, who's come in as the late replacement for Shane Werrett. Werrett's pretty quick, so's this fella. But good work by Brett Wharton to save for Wests.
Yeah, it was actually good work from Aaron Raper. He went the other side of the ruck to where John Simon, the Western Suburbs blokes were expecting Simon to kick the ball, so he went down the short side and put it in the in-goal.
So the goal line dropout taken by Wharton. Jared McCracken. Brings it back to 30 from the line.
You can see why the Maggies are doing it a little bit tough.
Again,
2/3 of the game played in their own territory.
right on the advantage line was where Dean Pay took the ball, but then lost it. Little knock on, spotted by referee Matt Hewitt.
Yes. A bit of a difficult decision. Pay deciding he was going to drop a ball out the back to some support players. Just didn't get it far enough around the corner. I mean, a little bit surprising to see that was called a knock back, actually. I thought he was throwing the ball backwards and it was knocked back into his grip.
So West's having won the scrum. And their State of Origin player, Ken McGuinness, on the first tackle. They're just outside their 20, then the ball lost. West players appealing to Matt Hewitt that the ball had been stripped. Hewitt saying he threw the ball forward. And that's what happened. So a couple of players, such as Chris Yates, still wanting to argue the point with the referee.
Yeah, John, they're saying that he actually threw the ball and it was propelled forward off a Parramatta player. The referee saying that it was originally travelling in a forward motion.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Parramatta player certainly never played at the ball at any time. So Parramatta win the scrum and it comes away from Kelly to Nathan Barnes getting out wide, and a quick play the ball back to Stuart Kelly. Kelly wrapping back infield. Good tackle though on him by Scott Coxon. Back to the blind side once more through Jim Dimmick. Dimmick picks up Jared McCracken. McCracken is on the line now. Was it a double movement? Certainly was. McCracken not too happy about it, wants to go on with things, but it did look that he had been brought to ground just short of the line and made this double movement. And that's how the referee Matt Hewitt saw it. Well,
That's a try.
it is. He certainly made another movement, but he was entitled to do it.
Yeah, on one angle I thought it was a try. That second one really looked like he's hit the dirt and then almost tried to bounce over and get the hands out. He was appealing himself. McCracken that the video screen should have been called for.
Of course, you are entitled to promote the football, provided that the ball or the hand carrying the ball hasn't hit the ground.
Yeah, that's the thing that frustrates the players. You've got the technology there, so why not call for it?
So a let-off as far as Wests are concerned. Travis Baker just keeping the ball alive, but Wests not going anywhere at the moment. This is Wharton and he drops the ball. Travis Baker, who came to Wests from Easts in Brisbane this year. Noted as a good attacking player, Travis Baker. If anything, his defence has let him down at times. They're the sort of mistakes that West just can't afford to make, particularly when you're inside your own territory.
Yeah, exactly right. I think if Western Suburbs are to win today, their completion rate, as we said before the game, has to be high. And at this stage, they're not doing that.
Casey Maguire. And just come onto the field for Parramatta, but dropping the ball. That's Maguire going in now to try and atone by making that tackle. He also is only a youngster, only 18 years of age, joining Parramatta from Caloundra up on the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Damien Kennedy. Almost up to the halfway mark, Kennedy. Now to Yates. Storming down the short side. Put to ground by Paul Carriage. From Dinova, now opened up to Coxon. Saw that there wasn't anywhere to go out wide, so had to try and straighten up the attack and ran into Tukey. Dinova's kick. On the last, cleaned up by Clinton Chifkovsky. Runs into the wall of Magpie chasers, and eventually it's Coxon, who's getting through a lot of work for Wests in defence, Scott Coxon, who makes the tackle.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's putting his hand up in defence. I think he's an ex-Newcastle player. He's going well out there today.
Raper, again, working it just on that short side. Jim Dimmick struggling to get to his feet and does so. Driven downfield by Simon. Brett Hodgson, in the end, had to hurry as the Parramatta chasers came down quickly on top of him. Penalty to Wests, and this is against Parramatta for never having got back to 10 metres. So you watch the player going in to make the tackle, Jason Smith. The referee, Matt Hewitt, had ruled hadn't at any stage got back to 10. So the chance now for Wests to attack. Leo Dinova giving his pass to Harvey Howard. Dinova again. Then away to Ken McGuinness. Misses out Baker, but the pass immediately picked up by John Simon. Simon gives his pass then away to Nathan Barnes. Barnes trying to outstrip Wharton, then looked to give his pass back on the inside. And as he did so, the ball goes to ground, and with it, a try goes begging.
Yeah, I think he wished he had a pair of scissors at the moment to cut a hole in the grass and hide the head under it for a while. Went to transfer it into two hands, but whilst there was a little bit of bad luck there, Barnes, let's pay credit to a pretty good chase from Brett Wharton. He was about the only guy that was involved in the chase, the only one that could have stopped it, and eventually the guy that denied 4 points, a further 4 points from being posted up onto the board. Lincoln Rodonicus back on the field after what appeared to be a neck injury that gave him some concern.
So Lincoln Rodonicus packing into the hooking role for that scrum. So West's just outside their own 20. Parramatta leading by 6 points to 0. Now to Fritz.
No, why let it go?
Parramatta to Fritz. Coming up quickly to meet the big West players. Damien Kennedy with 5 tackles gone. Now the last. Down to Shivkovsky once more. Trying to outstrip the West's chasers. Almost succeeding, but eventually dragged to ground by Kevin McGuinness.
Yeah, it was a good chase by West.
Dimmick breaking the first line and the second, and then Parramatta get a penalty.
Wait. Steady.
He's strong runners, isn't he, Jimmy Dimmick, when he takes the ball to the line. He's got options inside and out. He just brushes off Kevin McGuinness.
Very important player for Parramatta if they are to be a genuine threat, and in this year's premiership is Jim Dimmick. They need him in form, as they need Jason Smith.
Yeah, 2 of the best ball-playing back rows in the game.
Oh, that had to be a penalty. The discipline from West at the moment is absolutely out the window. I'm sure that we'll see just how far this guy was offside. I'd reckon, without sounding silly, 3 or 4 metres. Have a look at that. He is way in front, standing out. At no stage did he even turn around to have a look where his teammates were to try and gauge where the line was.
Probably from Parramatta's point of view, they get a quick play the ball on, get that roll on, and the West defence is just having so much trouble regrouping.
Yeah, I think that should be the message coming out from Tommy, is they've got to win the ruck area. I think they've just got to compete a bit more on the tackle, try and slow down the Parramatta team. Hopefully the defence can get back and adjust in time.
That penalty might have saved 6 points though too. I think Parramatta are just getting a roll, and they've been their own worst enemy too with ball control in this first 20 minutes.
In today's game, the ball control is very important, but especially in conditions like this. We've seen last night with a lot of forced passes. But if you bide your time and you complete your sets of 6 and get a kick in, anything can happen. You can force a mistake.
So Clinton Shivkovsky to line up this penalty goal. I think from a Parramatta point of view, the advantage of having Aaron Raper back is already starting to show. The dummy half work is so much slicker, and it gives a player like a John Simon and then players like Jim Dimmick just that little bit of extra room, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just takes, the defence has to look at another player. And with Raper there, he does a bit of kicking and also his variety in the middle of the ruck.
Flags go up for the penalty goal by Clinton Chipkowski, and the Eels sneak away to an 8-point lead. Parramatta 8 and Wests 0.
It's going to be interesting leading into the semis to see how Parramatta now handle having 3 ball players in their lorry as well. I mean, they've got to really define their roles, don't they?
They do, Pete. I think the thing with ball players is you've got to make sure that your forwards are going forward. And if they're doing that and they're doing a good job, you know, your ball players can take advantage of that. But if you're not going forward and you're all of a sudden trying to ball play and then the next ruck you're trying to ball play, you can get yourself into big trouble.
Yeah, it's probably handy having Smith out in the backs for that reason as well. You've got one more go forward there. If he's in the back row, he cuts that out, doesn't it?
Yep.
So Brett Wharton restarts for Wests. And Jared McCracken running it hard back into the Wests defence, getting outside his own 20 before Coxon made the tackle on him. Just making the yards pretty easily, Parramatta, as Nathan Kalis plays the ball. Now Jason Smith has recovered from that knock that he took earlier in the game. John Simon getting the kick away, played at by Wharton, then is able to recover at the West's fullback. Kalis very quickly down, leading the chase, puts Wharton to ground. Hodgson just outside his own 20. Adrian Rainey, who's just come off the reserves bench for Wests. 3 tackles gone for Wests. Fritz on tackle number 4. 35 out from his own line.
It's just one out at the moment, though. There's no variation, is there?
Pretty much exactly what they're doing, Peter. All one out stuff. Now they need a good kick from Leo Dinova. He wanted to drive that deeper, but Chipkowski is there to take it. And the chase is led by Nick Edwards, who makes the tackle on the Parramatta fullback. Dimmick again trying to show the ball and then run himself and go over the top of the defence. Frew coming in off the wing for Parramatta. Dean Pay back over halfway and a few metres inside West's half. Simon again kicking early in the tackle count. This ball just going to have a bit too much strength on it. Goes touch in goal, which allows West to bring it out to the 20 for the tap restart.
So very important that West come up with a couple of plays here that make some territory for them and get a very good kick and chase game going. But once they turn it around and they're tackling the next set of 6, they've got to dictate terms to Parramatta. At the moment, they're simply standing on their line, waiting for Parramatta to run to them, and that really is setting up a good play the ball opportunity for the Eels to cash in on just seconds later.
Rainey plays at 10 on his own side of halfway. They are just stereotyped at the moment, though, Wests, as Damien Kennedy plays the ball. Dinova with the kick. Well judged by Clinton Chipkowski. Not an easy ball to take, particularly in these conditions, but he did it well.
Yeah, he's been very impressive today, Chipkowski. He's got himself in good field position, taken it on the full and returned it well.
Now this is where Wests would like to force an error from Parramatta. Jared McCracken getting outside his own 30. And the missed tackle count, probably the one that's crucial at the moment. 6 against 1.
Whoa. Touch judge coming in. A report made on what looked like a pretty high tackle.
Steady. Oh, no, I'll get him. Rick?
Those are the Parramatta players taking
Stand
the
up,
ball
please. Stand up, mate.
Stand up.
Yep.
It's all right, Chris. He's come in to make the tackle. His arms hit him high. It was more of the hand around the face, but it was high.
Okay.
And a couple of tackles beforehand. There was a tackle player on the ground. The same player has then come in what appeared to be attempted headbutt. He missed. But he's come in with an attempted headbutt.
Okay, thanks, mate. Just hold the mark, mate. Hold the mark. Listen, I want you to listen, all right? I don't want to get on your case, but I want you to listen, all right? You've made a high tackle, all right? And listen, if you cop one, 9 times out of 10, if you retaliate, you're the bloke who gets pinched, all right? So just settle down, all right? Settle it down.
So Chris Yates, the player who's been penalised on the touch judge's report from touch judge Brett Matthews.
Well, that's the thing that he was complaining about originally, that he was hit with an elbow. Well, I think he was trying to actually hit him with an elbow back rather than the headbutt that the touch judge is called him with. I'm amazed that if he saw a player actually go in and try and hit somebody else, that he wouldn't run straight in.
Penalty having gone to Parramatta and Nathan Kalis. 10 back inside West's territory. Make that 30 out from the line now. John Simon to Dimmick standing in centre field, just running the angles, and Shivkovsky coming in from fullback, slips it back to Kalis. Raper runs out of dummy half and sees the gap and steps straight inside Rainey, then was able to turn his pass back on the inside. That's an excellent try. Excellent work by Parramatta.
Opening up a 12-0 lead, but good work. Raper picking out just one marker, deciding to run to an open area where there was a pretty ordinary attempt at a tackle. The fullback left with no option, Wharton.
Yeah, Raper going through. Markers didn't work, and also their defenders on the left-hand side of the ruck were too wide from where the play the ball was, and he's just strolled through there. Raper does well to hold up the pass here for the young fella to go over.
I'll tell you what, it's not semi-final defence, is it? But Parramatta must be so pleased, Smith must be so pleased to get him back into this side, because he offers a whole new dimension from dummy half.
Certainly has. Aaron Raper setting up the try for Nathan Kalis. Some excellent work out of dummy half. Probably the first time, I would think, Laurie Daly in the game that he's really run himself, Aaron Raper. He's just picked the time to do it.
Yeah, he has, and you know, he's not overplaying his hand. But as we spoke about earlier, I think that you know, he adds that little bit of creativity around the ruck. You've got ball players in Dimmick and Smith either side of the ruck, and you've also got Johnny Simon in there. And whenever your defence has got a lot of players they've got to look out for, sometimes they can go to sleep on one person.
So once more, a relatively easy attempt at conversion for Clinton Shivkovsky. And the Eels out to lead by 14 points to 0.
The one problem that the Maggies have at the moment is their confidence. Very important that they come up with a period of play over the next 12 minutes that it's going to highlight the second half for them, to give them some sort of hope. I think the best way that they can do that is via a little bit of communication on the field. There doesn't seem to be a lot of talking going on. Perhaps they do it in a quieter sort of way. But they've also got to create a little bit more discipline around that ruck area.
I suppose, Wally, the point that you made earlier, that Parramatta would have been worried about their lack of attack in recent weeks. A game such as this is maybe just what they need coming into the finals.
Well, and the opportunity that I see that John Simon's back out there. He ran the ball early. A lot of the players tend to follow it, and some of the teammates that he's got on board, in particular Dean Pay, they really make the players follow them.
Good little kick by Jason Smith. Great chase too by Paul Carriage, and not put into touch. Ball going back to Brett Hodgson. Hodgson trying to get out of the in goal. He can't. The Parramatta chase was good. In fact, it was touch and go whether the ball stayed in the field of play initially, but the touch judge Martin Weeks ruled that it had.
Yeah, I think he probably made the wrong decision by trying to get up off the turf there. It's always going to be very difficult. Stacks on the mill after that. Throw the ball out and hope somebody's going to be able to run it back into the field of play.
With Simon and Raper there in the side, Pete, they've certainly got a variation in their kicking game, haven't they? They've got Smith, Raper and Simon who can vary the kicking game around.
Yeah, it's the same four again, because you can throw Jimmy Dimmick in on that too, Laurie. I mean, he's been known to be a bit of a kicker in his day, and that again is another dimension that, here we go again with young Raper. He's picking his time well, isn't he? You're right with that kicking game. That was a short side kick and it was away.
Raper runs again, this time looks for Simon, turns it away to Dean Pay. Pay crashing his way through, only 5 metres out from the line, dragged to ground by Rodonicus. Raper looking for the runner, coming down the middle of the ruck once more. They're only 3 metres out from the line. And lost. Rules referee Matt Hewitt. Ball being lost by Parramatta. Michael Vella just, went to play it, just lost control of it, rules Matt Hewitt. So Wests to feed the scrum, 10 out from their own line.
A little reminder going in from the referee as well on that occasion, mentioning to Dean Pay, the Eels skipper, don't get sucked into any dodgy business, you've got more to play for.
Jared Mills. Mills driven back by some very willing defence. Barnes and Dimmick going in to push him back about 5 or 6 metres. And then when he hit the deck, he probably slid a couple of metres further. Georgialis getting it back to Mills, so he has another attempt. This time he does get out of his own 20. Darren Fritz, but again one out by Fritz.
He's worked hard though for the Maggies today. He's really taken it up, and here's another bloke, Harvey Howard, who's put his hand up as well.
5 tackles gone, just short of halfway for the Magpies. Now back to Dinova. Kicking, putting it in behind Carriage. On his own 20. Half broke the tackle of Hodgson. Well, the scoreline, 14-0. You can see why when you have possession going almost 2-1 in your favour.
And when they've only got a third of the possession, West have spent 68% of that time in their own half. Very difficult.
Vella. Oh, rangy bloke. And this has to be a penalty.
Hang on.
And Coxon questioning it. And now the referee's going to call out Scott Coxon.
Suburbs, come here.
And Travis Baker will be called across for a couple of words.
Let's understand something. I don't want you questioning my decisions. You've got a captain to do that. Hang on. You continue with it, you might sit down. All right?
Well, he didn't say anything, did he?
I've seen another bloke give them eyes too before.
No names, no pectoral, Laurier.
It was a Kiwi.
But you whistle and I'll point. Vella keeping it alive. Back away through Raper. Clinton Chivkovsky on the first tackle and 30 metres out from the West's line. Pay going to the advantage line, had Tukey coming up on his left-hand side. Raper works to the short side, through Smith, got his pass away to Hindmarsh. Once more Raper to the short side, kicks ahead for Paul Carriage to chase, towed over the dead ball line by Brett Wharton, another goal line dropout coming up for the Magpies.
Well, it's going to be difficult to hold them out from here, 7 minutes. I think, to me it looked like this ball was almost going to they go over the line. I think he probably could have put himself between the football and Carriage to make it a little bit more difficult for Parramatta to try and get the ball down. But it does seem that there's a little bit more vigour in the Western Suburbs defence. I think the blood's starting to boil. I think Tommy will be all that upset about it.
Oh! Mistake made by Tukey.
It was, and I was going to give a rap to the guy that drop-kicked the ball. We haven't seen too many long drop kicks in the wet.
Well, one thing about Brett Wharton, who took the kick, he's getting plenty of practice at it today. They say practice makes perfect.
Yeah, and the big fella just getting caught by the skid of the football. It was an exceptional drop kick in the conditions to be able to get play right to the centre of the field, and now Western Suburbs with an opportunity to post their first points in the match.
Picked up at the base of the scrum by Wests. Coxon playing it. Now to Wharton. Georgialis down the blind side, but got isolated. Nobody knew he was going to run that way, and consequently there was no one with him. Now to Darren Fritz. Fritz storms straight through, gets to the last line of defence, can't slip his pass away. Only needed one more runner, Darren Fritz. Dinova takes it to 5 metres out from the line. Trying to hold him down, Dean Pay. They need a quick play the ball. Now back to Ken McGuinness, putting it into the in-goal. Carriage saves. Can he get his way out of the in-goal area? Can't do so this time. And so Parramatta get a chance for a goal line dropout, and Wests have the opportunity to just put some pressure on back-to-back sets for one of the few times in the game.
Oh, exactly right. That was good play there by Western Suburbs. Darren Fritz has been probably their best all day. Running hard, strong, looking for support. He does the right thing, goes down, gets up, plays the ball, and then McGuinness puts it through, and they get another set of 6. It's all about building pressure.
Good tackle from Tchaikovsky there as well to stop the Giant on the run.
Talking of Giants, this fellow's not far off it. Big Harvey Howard. Good tackle on him, though. Ball and all tackled by Dean Pay. So West would love to have some points on the board before the break. This is the best opportunity they've really had so far. Kevin McGuinness. Dinova goes to the line, shows it. Well read, though, by the defence. Jason Bell it was. Just read that perfectly. Once more to Howard. Straight into the defence of Jared McCracken. They're on the last. Steve Georgialis down in back play for the Magpies. Little cross kick was attempted by Leo Dinova. Read, though, by Parramatta, and again it was Jason Bell who came up with it. Good take by Jason Bell.
Yeah, good hands.
In these conditions, that's a very good take. Jim Dimmock busting through. Mills was able to get him from behind. Only needed to get that pass away, and there was a try there for Parramatta, but Mills made sure he couldn't get it away. Smith putting the ball on the ground. Wests will come up with possession. Chris Yates to play it. Radonicus gets 11 metres inside Parramatta's half. Dinova through the pass which went behind Rainey. Picked up by Parramatta.
Take him off.
Now Chris Yates being sent to the blood bin by referee Matt Hewitt. He's been in the wars, Chris Yates. The running battle with the referee a couple of moments ago. Now he has got one for his quarter. So Yates goes to the blood bin. Nick Edwards comes back off the bench to replace him. And Parramatta losing possession. Radonicus coming up with it. With just 2.5 minutes remaining until the break. They're 25 metres out from the line. Now to Howard. But once more he gets isolated. No one with the big fellow. He has to take the tackle. Fritz. He's 11 from the line. Dinova giving his pass away to McGuinness and then to Baker. Baker gets it back to Rainey. Referee's rule, it was knocked on. It looked as if he'd got it at the second attempt.
Well, perhaps it did hit the turf. I thought that he caught it just...
Well, referee was certainly in a better position to see it. He was standing pretty much in front of it. Yeah. Well, no, went to ground. I don't know that he knocked that on himself. He did.
Oh, well called from the ref.
He did. Good call, Matt Hewitt. So the pressure goes off Parramatta, and they can use this set of 6 and then a good kick on the end of it, take them pretty much near to the half-time break. Chifkovsky sliding under a couple of tackles, got away from Fritz, then was caught by Rainey. Nathan Barnes. Barnes on tackle number 3. Simon to Dimmick. Dimmick shed through a couple of tackles, then was put over by Hodgson. Tukey got through Coxon's tackle, got through the second line of defence, Mark Tukey. A bit like his days when he was a crusher, and the Suncorp Stadium crowd reacted to him. He's become a cult figure here at Parramatta Stadium. This kick into the in goal. Paul Carriage going through to dive on it. The referee will consult the video ref, who's Peter Filmer.
But I'll tell you what, you might want to ask him to go back to the original kick. The second kick as well, but the original one as well, because there might have been a Parramatta player in front of the kicker there, mate.
Yeah, that's the point that he will be looking for. The first kick was the Parramatta player. After it rebounded off one of the Magpies players, was he actually inside the 10 metres? Which it's a hard case to answer, but even though you're probably only 7 or 8 metres away, you're expected to be 10 metres away. There is a player that was inside the 10 metres, number 6, Jason Smith was inside the 10 metres. So that, although it's almost impossible for him to be outside of that 10 metres, he was still in effect in front of the player at the time of the kick.
Very similar one to the one on Friday night, the controversial try in Canberra, Laurie, where Ruben Wiki most thought was in the same position. That try was allowed. But what you can't do, if you are inside the 10, you can't then advance. And Jason Smith kept advancing, and that's what rules him to be in an offside position. He's in front of the kicker, who was Stuart Kelly. Now, he's not allowed to advance, and he does so. He keeps going, and therefore is offside.
But does he go after it's touched the Western Suburbs player?
Well, it really doesn't matter, because he should be penalised for being offside.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, but it's almost like a pinball.
A very similar one to the Ruben Wiki incident on Friday night. This time, Peter Filmer says no try.
It's like that accidental offside rule we've got. It's a very hard one, isn't it?
And the penalty goes to Wests. And if you go back to Friday night, that was really a turning point of that game. Had St George been given the same decision and they got a penalty.
All right, is it a turning point in this match?
Might be a bit of a different ball game, this one, I think.
Yeah, let's get it out of that game on Friday night. The Raiders are too good.
Well, they've had their first bit of fortune in the game, Wes. Let's see what they can come up with. A couple of their big guns starting to lead from the front now. A very good job with it. Darren Fritz.
Dinova, as the hooter goes for half-time, puts it into the arms of Carriage. Carriage struggling to break the defence, he can't. And referee Hewitt says that'll do us for the first 40 minutes. And so at the break, the home side, Parramatta, knowing that this is a game that they have to win this afternoon and hope a couple of other results could go their way. And who knows how the ladder might look after tonight. But so far, so good for the Eels. They lead the Magpies at half-time by 14 points to 0. Half-time here at Parramatta Stadium, and Parramatta in front of Wests by 14 points to 0.
Yeah, I can understand why the Maggies are struggling in this match. You can just see that we've got to pay a little bit of credit to their completion rate. It's a lot better than Parramatta's at this stage. But the Eels coming up with almost 2/3 of the possession in this game, and that 1/3 of the match that the Maggies have had, almost 2/3 of that has been spent in their own half. Big fella, Mark Tukey, has wound himself up on a couple of occasions, aiming into some pretty big gaps. He's getting an opportunity to run at one of his opponents, Darren Fritz, former Queensland State of Origin representative. When he has run, on the rare occasions that he's been given half a role to work from, he's done fairly well. Almost came up with a 4-point opportunity just prior to the break. It's nice and wet conditions out here this afternoon.
Certainly is, with the rain still falling here at Parramatta Stadium. As Brett Wharton gets set to start the second half. And this kick going down to Nathan Barnes. Feel it, just 10 metres out from his own line. Travis Baker coming up to lead the chase from the kickoff. Frew coming in from the right wing, playing his second first grade game today. Andrew Frew played one game in the first last year for Parramatta. Another good bullocking run by Mark Tukey to start the second half. Now Pay. Just on their own side of halfway, and John Simon once more kicking early in the tackle count. Which, when you looked at those stats of the first half and you saw the completion rate, it looked fairly low for Parramatta. And it has to be borne in mind that a lot of times they purposely didn't complete their sets, kicking early in the count, as was the case then with John Simon. So 14-0 it is. Parramatta leading, and Wests will draw a penalty. Let's find out what's been happening from a Parramatta point of view as we take your sideline and Brian Johnson. Brian, what did Brian Smith have to say at the break?
He's fairly happy with the way things went. We just want to keep holding onto the ball and kick well. Wet weather, it's all about field position and ball control.
But I guess they would have been fairly pleased with what they saw from John Simon, particularly early in the game.
Yeah, he's going quite well for us, as most of the players are.
What about Aaron Raper? His work from dummy half seems to really have put the team on a little bit of a roll as well.
Yeah, he's looked pretty busy, hasn't he, and created some things for us, so he's going quite well.
Thank you, Brian. Brian Johnson, the assistant coach to Brian Smith at Parramatta. Now Parra get a penalty.
Oh, the true rugby league fans.
Need say no more. I don't think it was a Parramatta fan who said it. So the penalty goes to Parramatta and Clinton Shivkowski. This will be his most difficult attempted goal for the afternoon. A few metres to the right-hand side of the upright, but 30 metres out. And the Wests Magpies really did need to be the side to score first in the second half if they're to have a chance of getting back into this game.
Yeah, they did, but it was a pretty lame set of six that they came up with. It didn't really look to be anything too constructive once they got the football. It was a case of, well, really, who wants to run it? And when the ball got shifted, I don't think it was done with any great confidence. It was, I think, out of necessity more so than anything else.
So the referee just signalled time off for this kick now. Signals time back on as Clinton Shivkowski takes plenty of time about his kicks. Now he has it placed. Swinging back in and successful by Shivkowski, so he may take his time, but it's paying dividends for him. Perfect record today, and Parramatta now lead by 16 points to 0 over the Magpies. And as the Maggies bring it back for the restart, football manager of Wests, Jack Stiles, is with us. Jack, what did Tom Rodonicus have to say at the break?
Well, Tom said we were lucky we were only down 14-0, and he's very disappointed in the boys not getting to their tackles. He wants 3 men to go into every tackle, and he wants a better chase. They're not chasing well enough.
Wait, is there anything that Tommy asked the boys to do? Obviously, the work around the ruck was something 10 minutes prior to half-time looked like it improved itself.
Exactly a bit, but he had a word with them about trying to cap young Raper, and next thing Raper breaks and scores, you know. Tommy can't go out and do it for him.
Certainly can't. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, mate.
Jack Stiles, the football manager of the Magpies, with the word from the Maggies dressing room at the break. Parramatta in front by 16-0. Again, Simon under instructions, kicking earlier in the count, and a great chase being led for Parramatta by Nathan Barnes. And they're going to try and pin Wests down inside their own territory. That's the second tackle as Mills is thrown to ground and still only 8 metres out from his own line. Now Hodgson from the right wing. Georgalis. Once more, though, just running away from support, no one with him, and he's easily picked off by Stuart Kelly, and that's 4 tackles gone. They once more get just over their 10-metre line as Damien Kennedy is put to ground. And so the last now coming up for Wests, and they're under terrible pressure and lose the ball on the last. Struggling his way through goes Nathan Hindmarsh.
I think it was Rodonicus on that occasion running through, waiting for the pass to go behind him for the clearing kick.
Dean Pay. 11 metres from the line. In centre field. And Aaron Raper elects to go to the right-hand side. Through Simon, then away to Smith. Smith starts to run up to the line and he'll crash through and score, Jason Smith. Well, you have to pay credit to Jason Smith. He summed it up very quickly, took it to the line and then realised Wests were hanging off him. But while you pay credit to Smith, you have to be critical of the defence of Western Suburbs. They simply let him dictate terms.
Look, that last 60 seconds is indicative of exactly what's happening out there in the football field. No idea, no communication. What's going on there has really led to the turnover in possession once the ball was shifted wide. They really just dictate terms to the opposition. Smith holding the ball, throws half a dummy there to put a little bit of doubt in the minds of the defenders. In fact, it was Travis Baker that did the simple slide to stay with his man. Unfortunately, the inside defender just didn't get across as quickly as he possibly could.
Yeah, a very strong player, especially near the line, Jason Smith. You see McCracken hold Coxon up just for a second, puts him one-on-one, he gets to the outside shoulder, and just very strong up top.
It's a good fend.
Yeah, it's great work, though. I mean, as you said before, I think it's good work from Simon here. A great ball. He just stood him up just too many yards. I think Farrell Coxon's probably been West's best player, and just unfortunately didn't cover the yards that he needed to go with his centre partner.
I think he just got held up a little bit on a good decoy run by McCracken. He just held him up for a little bit, and then Smith just had too much pace and then got on his outside shoulder and just with his strong left-hand fend.
But really, they should never have eventuated, should it? I mean, that ball should have been cleared out of there on that fifth tackle.
Yeah, well, as John McCoy mentioned just a moment ago, there was 4 tackles and they'd actually lost 3 metres.
So this is a difficult kick in these conditions. Difficult under any conditions for Shivkowski. Just a couple of metres in from touch. This will be his real tester for the day.
I've got confidence in him.
Back him in?
Yes.
Good off the boot, just sliding away at the end, no goal.
How much was that?
Don't go to the Melbourne Cup with Laurie.
20-0 it is now in favour of Parramatta.
I got no doubt we've probably heard a little bit of a message go out to the Magpies on the field there from Tom. That 2-minute period there was the worst they've probably had all season. It was nothing short of disgraceful. Without wanting to take too much confidence away from his team, I'm sure he reminded his players they've got to dig in and have a go, and they're not going to do that by no communication and not following a simple team plan that he probably had well before this game and expected his players to follow.
So Parramatta once more are outside the 20-metre mark. Hindmarsh to play it. Missed tackles. It says a lot, doesn't it? 19-6 going against Wests. Parramatta making them pay, as the scoreboard indicates. Not much as far as the number of tackles for each side. They're pretty even. 119 plays 117. Hindmarsh again, getting it away to Aaron Raper. Raper on to Simon. Switch back inside to Carriage. Carriage trying to get around Wharton. Dived on, not knocked forward. So play on for Parramatta. Only 15 out from the line and now a penalty. And someone could go to the sin bin here and does so.
Where you go? 12? Come here, number 12. Number 9.
I think this will be an incident a little bit earlier.
Just have a listen, fellas.
Okay, he's carried through with the tackle. Last tackle down there on this fella. They got up, started pushing and shoving. It's just a chat, okay?
Okay. Don't take the game out of our hands, fellas, all right? Okay, steady.
TV game.
Yeah, exactly right.
Got his head on the box. But they didn't need that. It was the last tackle coming up for Parramatta. West really only had to endure one more. Now that they've got 6 coming up.
Well, we can't do everything, Aaron.
And it's going to be with 1 player less. Raper being asked to do a bit of a walk to the sideline to clear up the claret.
So Aaron Raper with some blood just coming away from the mouth. Jason Bell coming on to replace him, and Aaron Raper getting a very good round of applause from this crowd as Nathan Hindmarsh goes straight through and scores. He's had a very good game, Nathan Hindmarsh, and in the second half he's really been involved and deserves that try, but West simply just laying off him. He made it look just so simple, the youngster, and 18-year-old Nathan Hindmarsh goes in to score and makes it 24 points to nil.
But the West players aren't happy at all. They believe that the decoy runner took out one of their players, the original incident that led to one of the players being sent from the field for a professional foul. Attempting to get up with Stuart Kelly, held down. This is the angled run. Well, gee, I think he's ran into his teammate. That's what the decoy runner was. I think he complained too much about that. Well, it was a referee, I'm sorry, that ran across there. I tell you what, I think he's got fair grounds, Laurie, to have a bit of a whinge about it. The referee ran directly in front of him.
Yeah, he did actually. I didn't notice that, but the referee has come across. Dinova obviously was impeded, but it was a great run by Hindmarsh. He just opened up and just went straight through him.
Well, he might have said sorry, I suppose, after it, but...
Interesting.
So Parramatta now leading by 24 to nil, a chance to make it 26-0, and the Magpies certainly doing it tough, particularly with one of their best players and Damien Kennedy off the field for the next 10 minutes in the bin.
Double or nothing, Laurie.
Well done, mate. I'll back him in.
Yes. Yes. You got the money back. Converted by Clinton Chivkovsky. Very good kicking performance by him today in these conditions. 26-0 it is in favour of Parramatta.
Just watch the referee here, John. I think they've got every reason to have a whinge. Although I still think the flat footer, I think it was Kenny McGuinness, is it? They should have come in on that, but I reckon there's got to be a whinge there.
Well, he didn't really put himself in an ideal position, did he, the referee? I'm a bit confused as to why he took that angle, why he ran out of the way.
Jim Dimmock losing the ball. The referee rules that it wasn't stripped. Dimmock saying to them there was a West's hand in there, but the referee ruling that he didn't have control of it.
That's the even up, Johnny.
The violins come out.
The even up at 26-0. There's a lot of evening up that has to go on. Coxon, 12 metres out from the Parramatta line.
Oh, the rights judge has got sunglasses on.
Georgalis throwing the wide ball out to McGuinness. Ken McGuinness looking to get on the outside of the defence. He can't do so. Dragged to ground by Kelly. Georgalis onto the short side. The kick will be taken over the touch-in goal line by Chivkovsky, forcing Parramatta to a goal line dropout.
I guess in a day where conditions are a little bit difficult, the players having to deal with the slippery ball. We've got to pay credit to a couple of very good kicks that have gone on this game. That's probably the fifth or sixth opportunity where a ball has been very well weighted into the end goal area, and players have had to make a tough decision at the end to let it bounce or to take it over the sidelines. Been a good chase every time round. Pretty hard to do in the wet.
John Simon's kick going down to Jared Mills. Harvey Howard slipping the pass back to Kevin McGuinness. It's surrounded by gold and blue jerseys, and eventually Hindmarsh making the tackle on it. Darren Fritz has tried hard for the Maggies today. Now to Dinova, showing it, but brilliantly read by Dean Pay. He wasn't going to fall for the dummy. Lang.
John, that set of six, and we'll just about through it now, every Parramatta player is coming off the line. I mean, they're pretty dedicated to their defence. You can see why their record's so good.
Dinova's kick. Dropped. Now it's gone over the dead ball line. The referee is going to rule that it came off a Wests player. Put dead by Wests, which means Parramatta will come back quickly to the 20 for the restart by Simon, trying to catch Wests napping. Kelly able to spin his pass back on the inside. Played back by Nathan Hindmarsh. On the second tackle, 5 metres from halfway. Smith again switching his pass, just finding those little inside passes, and there's gaps almost every time they do so. Now they open it up somewhat. Dimmick turning it back to Pay, getting into open spaces, and this should be a penalty to Parramatta. Taken before the player had the ball, Jim Dimmick. Player who went in to get him was Steve Georgalis, but he had his hands on Jim Dimmick before the pass had even come to him.
Yeah, you can see it there. Georgalis has got hold of him, lets him go a little bit, but then and Jimmy plays for the penalty. They're looking dangerous, Parramatta. They're throwing the ball around now as if it was dry conditions. West better get their defence in order.
Tukey again taking it right on the line and makes a bullocking 10 metres. Gets inside the 20. Onto the short side. Dimmick running it again. 10 metres from the line. Dimmick held on to strong player Jim Dimmick. Eventually takes 2. The third was in as well into the tackle to eventually push him to ground. Smith going back in himself. Almost got through himself and then popped the pass away to Dean Pay. Now runs himself, Smith. Back away to Simon. Simon trying to stand them up. Came to almost a complete halt. Couldn't get around the tackle of Coxon. Jason Bell. 2 metres from the line. Last coming up for the Eels. To a big wide open side. Put into the in goal by John Simon. Taken on his line by Brett Wharton, and Wharton just struggles into the field of play. Was hurt. Just caught one for his quarter, Brett Wharton, but did put his body on the line to take that ball, with the Parramatta chasers coming through very quickly after it.
Yeah, probably just staying down for a couple of seconds to give his teammates a little bit of a spell as well. Definitely needed. I think the contact probably came with that first one. The chaser absolutely whistling past him, made a little bit of a bump. But he's been pretty strong at the back, Wharton. What it's been a nightmare for him when he hasn't been trying to catch bombs or run grubber kicks out of the in goal. He's been expected to play the last line of defence when there's 2 and 3 players coming at him.
So what can West do this time? Last time they were down in this area, they used up their set of 6. And then, in fact, lost the ball on the 6, only about 20 metres out from their own line. And now they lose it again, and picked up immediately by Tukey. And they start to spin it out to the left-hand side. Comes away to Kelly. Kelly able to get his pass on. Held on to by Paul Carriage. And he'll play it only 12 metres out from the Western Suburbs line. Hindmarsh. To Pay. Straight ahead goes Dean Pay. Smith switching it back to Tukey. Tukey, like a runaway locomotive, gets to about 2 metres from the line. In the hands now of John Simon. Simon ducking his way through, able to get his pass back on the inside to Jason Smith, who scores. They work well together, the halves today, John Simon and Jason Smith. And that is a very promising sign for Parramatta as we come towards the business end of proceedings.
Yeah, another simple error, a real problem for West. Not getting much ball, and when they do, they turn it over very quickly. But some good work from the Eels. They know that they've got to run the ball, dictate the terms to their opponents. Simon did it on this occasion. He ran wide, had a couple of opportunities, ran at the big bloke, Darren Fritz, the original guy that he had to really take out of the line.
Yeah, good work by Johnny Simon. Ducks under Fritz's tackle, stands in the tackle, offloads to Smith. Scores straight under the post. Very strong player, Johnny Simon. He can stand in the tackle and offload. They've got a number of players who can do that, Pete.
Yeah, they have. It's as you said before, Laurie, it's I think it's a good sign for Parramatta. Wally just picked up with that spreading the ball on a turnover. I think it's a great idea. A bit of confidence coming into the semi-final playoffs.
Can't be critical either of the Magpies there. They had 5 players involved in that tackle. Once we saw the ball taken by John Simon, Fritz was sidestepped, but there were 5 other players came in to try and stop it.
So Dean Pay just getting a break. The Parramatta captain, Nathan Kalis, coming on to replace him. And Shivkovsky's goal takes the margin out to 32-0. So 32-0 in favour of Parramatta as we watch this try again with John Simon getting underneath Fritz.
John, that's just as Wally said, 5 players involved in it. It shows a side that's got no confidence in each other. And that's the big thing. On your own line, you've got to be confident that one-on-one tackles can be made. And when you've got 3 or 4 coming across there, it's just havoc.
I think they found there too, Pete. They were sliding on their line.
Yeah, exactly.
On your line, you've got to go up.
32-0 in favour of Parramatta. These two clubs, the biggest winning margin for Parramatta over Wests was back in 1983. And that was when the Parramatta were playing their home games at Belmore and they won by 39-0. That was the biggest winning margin between these two clubs. So with 20 minutes remaining and 32-0 at the moment, that record is certainly under threat.
And I think you used a very good word there, John, was. We're about to see a new one.
Raper down the short side again. And Smith with that deft little kick of his being chased by Kelly. But again, Brett Wharton. Gee, you've got to give him credit, Brett Wharton. He's had a very tough game today because Parramatta have been running at them all day in these sort of conditions, and he's put his body on the line plenty of times.
Exactly right. Smith puts a kick in. Wharton comes across. He does really well. He puts his body on the line, as you say. Cops a bit of a knock, but he gets straight back up and plays it.
Stayed remarkably balanced for a slide across.
He's had plenty of work to do today.
I think he's had plenty of practice at it today, hasn't he?
Steve Georgalis kicking. Chase being led by Ken McGuinness. Shivkovsky just out from his own line takes the ball. Good kick kick return by Clinton Shivkovsky, and he's still going. It's Kevin McGuinness who eventually has to make the tackle. Got out about 25 metres off his own line with that run, Shivkovsky. Now to Carriage, trying to split them down the middle of the ruck. John Simon giving his pass across to Dimmick, then wide it goes to Barnes and on to Frew, slipped inside the attempted tackle of Mills, caught by the West's cover defence. Now
It's Damien Kennedy, I think.
referee just calling a break. Yeah, it looks as though it's Damien Kennedy, who's just come back on after his 10 minutes in the sin bin.
He's gone into a tackle, I think, with Harvey Howard.
Yeah, there's a lot of concern. I think it was the doctor that came out of the blocks.
Oh, yeah, he's caught it just there with Harvey Howard over the top, I think.
Just sprinted across to see how he was. Obviously. Going in and bang. There's the contact.
His hip.
Damien Kennedy, who will have just 1 week to go with Western Suburbs. Will finish his stint with the Magpies next week, and then next year is off to Adelaide.
Yeah.
Good young player, Damien Kennedy. He'll be a good recruit for the Rams. Sad loss, though, for Wests. But he's certainly in some trouble at the moment.
It's the whole story with West. They found him up at Forbes and brought him down, developed him, and just didn't have the dollars and cents to keep him. It's just a pity. I tell you, yeah, this young Scott Coxon's gone well today too, the number 13. I think there could have been a few more points on the board had he not been out there, and there's not much of him either.
That's 3.
So just
That's 3 gone.
concern being shown for Damien Kennedy. I suppose the good thing is, Wally and Laurie, that the trainers were prepared to move him and turn him over onto his back. If there was any real doubts at all that there may have been a neck injury, something more serious, then they wouldn't be moving him at all. There's Scott Coxon. I agree with Peter Mulholland. He's got through a lot of work today, Coxon.
He's just blowing off. He's just gone back onto the field here, and he's just been replaced again. He's not very happy about it.
What was he doing, Pete?
Blowing up, I meant. That's 2 for the weekend, Laurie. And don't worry, there's still, 20 minutes for the trifecta.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I know what you meant too.
So Damien Kennedy looking worse for wear, but able to walk from the field, albeit with assistance from the Western Suburbs trainers.
Yeah, obviously a little bit of a problem. You can see he's not doing too much rotating the neck there.
So not a sort of the second half that he would prefer to remember, Damien Kennedy's had 10 minutes in the sin bin, back for only a minute or so, and then cops that very nasty blow.
Leaving the field as the rain starts to tumble down a little bit more.
So with Kennedy now off the field, play resumes, and straight through a yawning gap goes John Simon. Had support coming up on the outside in Jared McCracken. I don't think he realised McCracken was there. Couldn't get the pass to him. Casey Maguire gets to 25 from the West's line. Now the last on its way for the Eels. Work back onto the short side, and once more Jason Smith putting the little kick through. Taken back there by Brent Hodgson. And this is the area of the field where Wests have just had so much trouble just working it out from their, what's termed their own red zone, their own 20. This time they do so, though. Hard run by Rainey. Gets it to 30 out from his own line.
Very fortunate to have that go through as well. To be lost in the tackle.
Hodgson looking to get on the outside of Stuart Kelly. Runs into the sandwich tackle of Kelly and Carriage. Still just short of halfway, the Magpies. Ball played back by Asiri Lang. They're on the last. Georgialis's kick will float out on the full. So the turnover, it'll be back where he kicked it from. And that's just on halfway. Once more, the chance for Parramatta to mount an attack. Simon runs it back to the short side. Who's there with him? The ever-present Jason Smith. Simon. Now to Dimmick. Dimmick running it to the line and showing it and breaking through Jim Dimmick. Then pushes a pass, which was dived on immediately by Leo Dinova. So a West's ball. Mills. Kalis making the tackle on Jared Mills.
I think a lot of the problem for West this afternoon is that they're just taking one out rucks. They're providing no doubt in the minds of the Parramatta defenders. They've got to try some angled runners once the players are taking it forward, or a simple wraparound play. Not much of a choice for the tackler to make.
It also slows the play the ball down, doesn't it, Wally? I mean, there's two in the tackle then, and Parramatta don't have any objections. I mean, there's nobody taking a flea off the runner's back, just as you see here, under pressure and away. I mean, it just slows the whole game down.
Knock on by Wests. Loose head and feed to Parramatta. So the Eels, 10 inside their own half. Vella. Looking to stand in the tackle of Adrian Rainey, eventually pushed to ground. Kalis playing it. Now in the arms of John Simon. Simon able to give his pass away to Jim Dimmick. Back to the open side. Smith. Long pass to Kelly. John Simon. On the last, putting up the high ball. Brett Wharton takes it well. Wasn't under any real pressure, though, from the Parramatta chasers.
He's done that all afternoon. He's been in pretty good position for most of the kicks coming up, but I think that, in all fairness to the Eels, that their real desperation that they've shown in that kick chase is probably just taken away a little bit by the size of the score.
McDonagh
come up with a break.
slipping the pass away to Kevin McGuinness. McGuinness, though, running away from supports. The only people around him at the moment are Parramatta players, but he does shoot the pass wide to Hodgson. That's come off Parramatta. Kicked ahead by Western Suburbs. They could still score here. Dived on in the in goal, though, by Frew. Dived on by Frew, and the referee will rule a goal line dropout.
Yeah, I was just about to say there earlier, the McGuinness boys have been pretty quiet today, but given any room at all, they certainly cause you a bit of trouble.
Gee, there were a couple of neat passes in this one here. Once McGuinness got into the open, this was terrific here. He knew that he was just going to have to wait for somebody. He just waited and waited until his winger got there and support Hodgson. Floated a lovely pass. There's a couple of chances taken there with the kick. Really not much wrong with that. Fortunately for them, just touchdown.
After the restart, Harvey Howard runs it back and gets it to 25 metres out from the line, and then Fritz with another hard bullocking run to take it inside the 20. In centre field, they can attack to either side, and they go left first of all through Dinover, but he immediately gives it back to the right to Georgalis, sends his pass to Ken McGuinness, then on to Hodgson. Hodgson still on his feet, 5 metres from the line, dragged to ground by Jason Smith. Rainey slipping the pass out to Asiri Lang. Lang going through a short gap, then throws the pass wide to Jared Mills. Mills will go in and score. They're on the board eventually, the Magpies. Hasn't had much to cheer about today. Make that for the season.
Well,
but he's cheering his heart out, and good luck to him.
Had plenty of energy for the cheer. But they did pretty well here, keeping the ball alive, tearing the Eels defence to pieces. But Big Asiri there could have almost got through to score himself. Floated over the top to Mills. Showed just wasn't greedy. Prepared to share the opportunities.
Yeah, it was a good try by Western Suburbs. They played it, kept the ball alive. Asiri Lang went through. It was a very good ball to the winger, Jared Mills. He does well to finish off in the corner.
I think earlier on you're saying an offload by Lincoln Rodonicus 2 led to the break from McGuinness early on, and the consecutive sets of 6, and this is what they could have been and should have been doing all day, and that's having support players with them.
Yeah, especially following blokes like Harvey Howard, Pete.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, every time he goes to the line, he's looking for an offload, but there seems to be no one following.
That's where a specialist hooker, see the missing mesher, he's in there and he cleans up around there and clears that delivery point, but it's just unfortunate.
Their first try for a couple of weeks, Wests. Brett Wharton with the attempted conversion, unsuccessful. They got beaten to 0 last week, the Magpies, so they haven't crossed the line for a while, so no wonder they're cheering.
Oh, we've seen 3 of them so far that put plenty of energy into it.
You're right, exactly here. Just progressing the football along. Lang, I think, here obviously could have gone himself and scored it, but it was good support, playing well, finished off. Both these young wingers aren't too bad for West either. Young Mills has scored a few tries early in the season, and I think Brett Hodgson on the other wing is a very, very talented young player.
32-4, but at least they're on the board. It was looking as though they were going to have another scoreless weekend, back-to-back scoreless weekends, but not the case. Good try for Wests. That may give them a little bit of heart, as Harvey Howard is put to ground. Now again to Fritz. Strong run, picks up 5 metres. Dimmick making the tackle on him.
Well, that's the first time I've seen that in the match, Laurie. 2 passes strung together.
Yep. As you say, Wally, and they've got good forward momentum there. Off the kick-off on 4th tackle there, near halfway. Howard again.
Well, Fritz and Howard, both of them, have taken it up twice in this set. Now they attempt to go wide, lost by Wharton, picked up immediately by Stuart Kelly. Kelly being chased by little Kevin McGuinness. He'll have too much pace for him though, Stuart Kelly, and will score under the post.
Story of the day.
And Wests, they had a little bit of fire in their belly after that try, and it's all come to naught. A ball lost by Brett Wharton, who's been one of their best players today. We've given him a rap, but this time just dropping the ball. Stuart Kelly was Stuart on the spot, and away he went.
Yeah, I think he had a little bit of a peep there. There were 5 good rucks from the Magpies, deciding to run the ball on the last tackle. If he had been able to catch and transfer Wharton, it could have promoted a pretty promising position for them.
Yeah, it was good work by West. They ran it on the 5th tackle. They had numbers. If Wharton could have controlled the pass from Dinover, but he dropped it. Kelly was Johnny on the spot, and he just raced away. Too much pace for the West defence.
Stuart Kelly scores. Converted by Clinton Chipkovsky. 38-4 Parramatta lead. Their highest score for this year. Their previous highest was back in round 4 against Manly, when they racked up 34 points to 10 against the Sea Eagles. The highest score of the year for Parramatta. If they were having trouble in their attack over the last couple of weeks, this game has probably been a godsend to them, with the semi-finals just 2 weeks away.
Brett Wharton didn't deserve that either. I think he's been the best performer for the Maggies. It's just a little bit unfortunate, and he did have a Bay Peep.
Yeah, you're right, though, but it was good play, Pete. They decided to run on the last, and if they had held it, or if they had caught and passed it, they would have had Parramatta in some trouble.
It was all on the back of what they should have been doing early, and that's going forward in tandem.
Andrew Frew. Referee calling held. Nathan Kalis. Kalis going straight through. Can he unload? He can't, and Wharton makes the tackle on him. But they're getting a roll on once more, Parramatta. Simon, Dimmick kicking. Charge down. No knock on. Picked up by Leo Dinover. And a little bit of a push and shove with Jim Dimmick, and West will get the penalty. Dinover very quickly takes the kick for touch. Then will take the free kick. 10 inside Parramatta's half. And Darren Fritz is the one who takes it up and makes 15 metres with a good, tough run by Fritz. Copped a knock for his quarter as well, Darren Fritz, but he's tried hard, as has Harvey Howard, who gets to the 20. Georgialis. Wide to Ken McGuinness. Switched inside to Hodgson. Tackled 10 out by Kelly. Ken McGuinness. Dummies to his brother. Radonicus can't take it. Dimmick will go in and clean it up for Parramatta.
Yeah, it was bad luck there for Western Suburbs. They're starting to throw the ball around. They're looking good, but just the last pass going astray.
Shivkovsky turning his pass back to Jason Smith, and Smith immediately then able to turn his pass back on the inside. Penalty goes to Parramatta. So Harvey Howard penalised for not clearing the ruck immediately. Just going on with the tackle. Vella does well to give it back to Shivkovsky. He in turn hands his pass to Jim Dimmick. Dimmick switching it back to Kelly, then away to Raper. Raper shed the tackle of Asiri Lang, who comes a second time to knock him over. Kalis. "20 out from the Magpies line. Jason Smith runs from dummy half, then gives it wide to Frew, got around Jared Mills, held on to by Kevin McGuinness. Only 1 metre from the line now, Parramatta. Their backline set deep as it's played to Raper. Swung away then to Jason Smith. Smith pushes his pass on to Simon. To Dimmick. Dimmick rolls it into the in goal. Diving for it, Nathan Barnes. Then Aaron Raper trying to make doubly sure, but the referee is going to rule that West got to it first and a goal line dropout.
Well, pretty well weighted for the Magpies players. With the complaint, they believed that it was promoted forward by the Parramatta player. I don't think there was any doubt about that. It was a Western Suburbs player who simply knocked the ball back. The blood's been flowing out here pretty quickly this afternoon.
It's touch and go for Aaron Raper. He just missed getting that ball down before it went over the dead ball line, and had he got his hand to it, it was a try. But West's, having been the side that pushed it over the dead ball line, are forced to the goal line dropout, and immediately it's run back by Nathan Hindmarsh.
Parramatta have got some good young forwards coming up through the grades. A lot of them have played very well here today. Looks good for their future.
Kelly. Particularly Laurie Daly, if they do happen to go ahead with a merger with Penrith, it would be a very, very strong club indeed. Smith able to give his pass back to one of those very forwards, Nathan Kalis. Kalis goes in to score. That's his second try of the afternoon, Nathan Kalis. One of those young forwards that Laurie Daly just mentioned a few moments ago. 20-year-old Nathan Kalis, a youngster with a lot of potential, scores his second of the afternoon.
Gee, I tell you what, that inside pass was a little bit wobbly from Simon. I thought it was very, very line ball, but good support play from Smith to get there.
Yeah, exactly right. West's a bit lazy around the marker area. Johnny Simon taking it to the line, gives it Inside ball to Smith, and then on to Kalis.
Oh, gee, that's forward.
It's a bit of gridiron there, I think.
Yeah.
That's straightforward. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the West boys they got fair complaint on that one. Although I don't think that 4 points, in addition to it, it's going to have too much to do with the outcome of this one.
What other forwards, Peter, to come into the Parramatta squad? Have they got anyone missing, or?
That's a good question. I think they're just about there. They're, I think the big two are the ones that are back today, actually, Laurie. The fact that they can't find a place for Aaron Raper, who's going away. Just on this one, Johnny Simon's carrying the ball in 2 hands. I know it's a line ball. Rugby union, that would have been a great try. Johnny Simon, when he takes the ball to the line in both hands, is always very, very constructive and very, very dangerous. Justin Morgan is the one that's come back, Laurie. I believe your club's talking to him, are they?
I only know what I read in the paper, Pete.
What about a standoff?
Well, he's in Canberra. He'll go into politics, into the diplomatic service.
One of the best dummies you've ever seen.
Him and Paul Osborne together.
Gone the blind.
He's a pretty handy player to come back into at that stage. But Raper and Simon today, I think, have been absolutely outstanding.
What about the blinkers he's wearing?
Yeah, you don't believe what you read in the papers, boys.
44-4 it is in favour of Parramatta, and if the score were to remain at that, it would be the biggest winning margin that Parramatta have ever put over their opponents in the local derby of the West, the Magpies. The previous biggest score, 39-0, back in 1983. But a knock-on by Parramatta, so the chance for Wests to work this scrum, if they can put some more points on the board, perhaps stop that record, that unenviable record, from going into the books. And they kick immediately on the first tackle into the end goal. It'll go too deep. The chase being put through by Ken McGuinness. The tactics were probably, had it come off, it would have been right, and they could have caught Parramatta napping, just a little bit too much weight on the kick.
Well, I probably think there's only one thing that stopped them. No one else knew that the kick was on. They were standing out waiting for the ball to be shifted along the back line. I just don't think he took it to the line enough to draw the defence.
Raper dummying to the open side, giving it back to Dimmick again on the blind. Now to Frew. Frew pushed away from the attempted tackle of Mills, caught by Georgialis, did well to get it back to John Simon, flicks it up for McCracken. McCracken knocked over by a flying Travis Baker and resented the treatment as well. Simon again going to the line, and West's just hanging off him. Raper runs from dummy half because West hadn't come up off the line. Back to Chifkovsky. He'll get the ball down and score. Underneath the post, makes it easy for himself, Clinton Chifkovsky. And the reason for that try was that West simply didn't come up in defence. They stayed back off Simon, and then they stayed back off Raper and made it all too easy.
And the West players are screaming at one of the touch judges. They've ran in, just about grabbed him by the throat, wanting to know why. There was the move. I mean, Raper, all he had to do was dive over. He was under the sticks himself. But the Magpies players are absolutely livid. At the prior tackle, they believe that there should have been a penalty go their way. A little bit of an extra swing from Jared McCracken.
He's been good out of there from dummy half today, Raper. Just runs, has a dart, off to Sikorsky to score under the post.
Here's the one here. He just gets up. Have a look at the swing he takes here. The player's just simply trying to hold him down. There's not too much wrong with Wooshka. Throw that one, hit you on the chin. There'll be no flies on the goink at the end of the day. Boy, and I tell you what, I've seen a lot of players penalised for throwing that sort of thing. They tell you that to let the referee the game.
Very unselfish from Aaron Raper there too, wasn't it? I thought he could have scored that.
I think he was giving himself an uppercut when he realised that he could have scored.
But it's what Parramatta needed. They have a player like Aaron Raper who can just do that from dummy half, and then players like Dimmick and Smith and Simon can all work off him.
Yeah, exactly right. And they're all hard to contain, as I said earlier. Like with their kicking game, there's 4 blokes there that can kick, so you can't spot one. When they got the ball, they're both standing either side of the ruck. They've got Raper from dummy half, so your defensive line has to be spot on and watching everyone. Otherwise, if you go to sleep on one of them, they'll cut you to pieces.
How do you let him sign at Castleford next year?
Cabbage.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So this to again put up a half-century against the Magpies. They've seen it plenty of times this season. 50 points to 4 it is.